We'll call to order the City of Desert Hot Springs regular meeting of the City Council. The City Council serving as the successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Tuesday, March 7th. This is our 4:30 p.m. closed session.
Councilmember Betts.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner.
Present.
Councilmember Pai.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez.
He is in the building, and we'll note that.
And Mayor Mattis.
Present.
Thank you.
I don't see anybody in the audience, so we'll have no public comments, I'm assuming. Nothing to read into the record, and we'll have the attorney announce closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We have 3 items on for closed session. Number 1 is conference with legal counsel existing litigation. Paragraph 1 is subdivision D of section 54956.9. The case is City of Desert Hot Springs versus KLLC, Riverside Superior Court case number CVPS 2300272. Next, we have conference with labor negotiators, government code section 54957.6, unrepresented employees, interim city manager. Third is conference with labor negotiators, government code section 54957.6, unrepresented employee, city manager.
And with that, we will recess the closed session. Good, Gerald? All right, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the City of Desert Hot Springs regular meeting of the City Council. The City Council serving as the successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner.
Present.
Councilmember Pai.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez.
Present.
And Mayor Mattis.
Present. All right, invocation tonight is going to be given by Councilmember Pai.
It's a quote by Alan Yuccas. If you spend any time on social media, you will run across posts that encourage us to be authentic, and admonition that means different things to different people. For some, it means being true to your word, being real. For others, it means living without seeking external validation, living from their own values. There are as many interpretations of what it means to be authentic as there are people to offer their thoughts. In her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, Brené Brown offers this definition. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. If we accept that authenticity means being true to our genuine self, then we must remain true to our values and personalities. Regardless of what others think, we should be, do, or believe. Authenticity, then, is the quality of living in integrity, just as we are, one day at a time.
Thank you very much. Tonight, we'd like to have Mayor Pro Tem lead us in the pledge, please.
Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll take a motion to approve the agenda. Before we approve the agenda, we do have 2 items on the consent calendar. Is anybody in the audience would like to speak to those items? See nobody coming forth. We'll be approving the agenda and the consent calendar with one motion.
As is, Mr. Mayor.
There's a motion by by Mayor Pro Tem Nunez. Is there a second?
Yes.
There's a second. We'll get it up on the screen. No further discussion, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
We're now going to move to public comments. I have two public comments. If you are here and you would like to speak. I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, members, I'm so sorry, Mayor.
I skipped right over you, didn't I? Yeah, I was trying to move the meeting along.
Thank you.
City attorney likes to talk so much.
I know, it's pretty bad.
Madam City Attorney, I apologize.
so
Please
much.
report out on closed session.
Thank
The one
you.
time I skip over that you do have to report out.
Exactly, right. So we have two reportable action items tonight. Number one is the City Council voted 5-0 to approve the waiver and release agreement between the City of Desert Hot Springs and Luke Rainey. Those terms and conditions are located in the agreement and will be posted, or if not posted, definitely available for public. Number two, City Council also voted 5-0 for the employment agreement between the City of Desert Hot Springs and Doria Wilms for the interim city manager position at a rate of $205,000. Again, this agreement will be made available for the public as well.
Thank you very much. Now we will move to public comments. I do have two speaker cards up here. Anybody want to speak public comments? You can fill out a blue card and hand it to the city clerk. Our first one is, Robert, is it Fuentes? Yes. You'll have to hit the button on there, or is it already on, Jerome? No, hit it again. Sorry, you just turned it off. They didn't
Right
have it.
there.
There you go.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Puentes. I'm actually a resident of Cathedral City. I'm a retired Marine. I was on Facebook and I saw a post about your Little League, and I saw your city manager out there throwing batting practice. And I just want to thank the city for supporting youth sports. It is so important. I was a parks manager in Cathedral City and we couldn't get that going. So I'm in the process of getting some sponsors, and I just think it's fantastic that you're supporting youth sports. I want to thank the city council.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
up.
All right.
Tom Bowen.
Tom Moen. I'm a 44-year resident of Desert Hot Springs. Seen a lot of things happen. I remember when the intersection of Pearson Boulevard and Highway 62 became a part of the city. Not the whole intersection, but part of it. And this last week, we had a truck and an automobile have a collision that spilled carrots on the highway. And I heard Mr. Betts on television, and he gave thoughtful comments, and I agree with them. I'd like to ask a series of rhetorical questions. I understand you can't talk back to me because this is not an agenda item. But I want to know about this dangerous intersection that has just the bare minimum of safety features. One, who is checking the safety considerations of this very dangerous intersection? Who is working on a plan to make this the main entrance to Desert Hot Springs? All the GPS brings people in that way. And you know, that's not the best looking intersection in Desert Hot Springs. I'd like to see that improved, and I'm sure all of you would too. Third rhetorical question, have you considered a citizens commission to have the citizens of the city of Desert Hot Springs consider some alternatives? I served years ago on the Blue Ribbon Commission that came up with the Desert Hot Springs Police Department. I'm proud of that police department, and I think the citizens did very well. We can make a difference at that intersection, not only for the public safety of our citizens, but we can build a beautiful intersection, something that will attract some of that highway traffic into town. As I've heard, I think I've heard every one of you say, Desert Hot Springs is a city that's built on 2 dead-end roads. And I'd like to see something happen with that fairly quickly. And I'll get back to that boring statue of Cabot Yerxa, 30 feet tall with the mule Merry Christmas right behind him. And my final thought, my final question is, are we going to let the news define Desert Hot Springs, or are we going to let Desert Hot Springs define Desert Hot Springs? Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I have no other public speaker cards. Would anybody else like to speak in public comments? That said, we'll close public comments. We'll go to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I want to first start with an introduction of a new staff member that we have here on board. Sitting over there, you will see Travis Clark. He is our Interim Community Development Director. Travis comes to us from the city of 29 Palms, where he spent 5 years as their Community Development Director and spearheaded their downtown revitalization project known as Project Phoenix, which is very timely for us in our efforts that we're taking. He has over 20 years of experience in the public sector, serving in various levels of government, and 12 years in the private sector, excuse me, where he managed an engineering office in Oakland, California. So thank you, Travis, for joining us, and you will be seeing a lot of him moving forward. Next, I'd like to ask Danny Porras to give an update to the community on Highway 62 in Pearson.
Thank you, Doria. Highway 62 and Pearson is an intersection that's actually located within Caltrans jurisdiction. It is a state highway. The north half is within City of Desert Hot Springs. The south half is within Riverside County. Every accident or any type of infrastructure that occurs in that intersection is actually in Caltrans jurisdiction. In an effort to alleviate some of the safety concerns, our Public Works Department and Engineering Department has met multiple times with the Riverside County engineering staff and also with Caltrans safety staff, and we have established a path moving forward for the construction of a traffic signal at that intersection. The traffic signal would help alleviate some of the left turn conflicts and some of the right turn conflicts that currently exist. The project is already has moved up to headquarters for Caltrans for a safety improvement project to be moved up in the ladder of the safety hazards that currently exist, and we're expecting to hear back a resolution from headquarters soon. We will continue to follow up and work with Caltrans and with the Riverside County to move the project forward. Even if Caltrans does not consider it as one of the top safety projects, the project is still top safety for the county and for the city, so we will move forward with us being the lead agency for that project. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Next, I would like Jeffrey Buckham, our Administrative Services Director, to provide some financial highlights.
Yes, thank you and good evening. So for our financial highlights for fiscal year 22-23 through the end of February 2023, our revenues are over $15 million, which is at 46% of our amended budget. Last year at this time we had $16.8 million, but that also included $1.7 million transfer from the ARPA funds. Without that, we'd have a little over $15 million. 2 years ago at this time, our revenues were at $13.4 million at 53% of the budget. Our expenditures this year, towards the end of February, is $17.5 million, which is 53% of the budget. Last year at this time, our expenditures were $16.7 million, which is at 52% of the budget. And 2 years ago, our expenditures were $14.4 million, which was 53% of the budget. One thing I'd like to point out for our expenditures this fiscal year, there is a change. While the city has built a new dispatch center and there are some higher costs, but it's not that much of a difference than we were contracting with Cathedral City. Our expenditures do look higher because we are paying, instead of paying on a quarterly basis like we did with Cathedral City last year, we're paying on a regular basis, paying employees. So at this point, that is one reason why our expenditures are higher.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Next, I would like Nick Haker, our Public Works Director, to provide updates on Public Works projects.
Good evening. I have 3 Public Works updates. The first one is going to be Palm Drive North project. The final asphalt cap has been installed. The pictures on the left shows the emulsion being applied. The picture in the middle is the paving machine with a truck full of asphalt. And the picture on the right shows the contractor laying the final cap. These pictures show the final cap with the rock landscaping behind the curb. The picture shows Tom's temporary object markers placed in the road to identify the lanes. The contractor is scheduled to come back to install striping and markings 30 days after the final cap was installed so that the oil can cure off. This is to prevent oil from bleeding through the markings. On February 25th, 2025, Public Works was out doing storm patrol. This includes posting flooded signs, closing lanes, and clearing drains. The picture shows the damage from the rain events. The following days after the rain stopped, Public Works cleaned the debris from the roads, regraded shoulders, and replaced damaged sidewalk. If there is any areas that need further cleaning, please report this to Public Works. Parks Master Plan Outreach Meeting. This is the first outreach meeting for the Parks Master Plan. This is scheduled for Saturday, March 25th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Warman Park. The consultant KTUA will be at the park with bilingual questionnaires and flyers for the Parks Master Plan. This date and time was scheduled because it was also opening day for Desert Hot Springs Little League, allowing for a large group of residents to give their input about the Parks Master Plan. As we get more flyers, we'll be able to post them on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. And finally, I would like Roberta Cernick, our Recreation and Community Services Director, to provide some recreation updates.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The Little League opening day is scheduled for Saturday, March 25th at noon at Wardman Park. And we wanted to give a special thank you to our volunteers and the advisory board members for their assistance with our tryouts. This program would not be possible without the volunteers. And our youth archery class started today at the Desert Hot Springs Recreation Center. It's $25 for the session and it runs through March 28th. The classes are held on Tuesdays from 5 to 7 for kids ages 8 to 17. And we will be having another session starting in April. And we are hoping to get an adult class started soon. And then we also have 10 openings for our after-school program at the Desert Hot Springs Recreation for kids ages 7 to 18, and it's $25 per month. And we have some spring break activities scheduled for families and kids. We will be having our first paint night on Friday, April 7th at 5:30 at the Health and Wellness Center. This is open to all ages, and it's $10 per person, and it includes all of the supplies. We're also having a science night on Friday, April 14th at 5:30 at the Health and Wellness Center for kids ages 7 to 10. They will be learning the science behind shaving cream and ending with some shaving cream slime to take home, and the cost for that is $10. And finally, we will be having a Parent and Me toddler class at the Desert Hot Springs Recreation on Tuesday, March 28th for kids ages 2 to 4. So we're really excited to get this program started for toddlers. The class will be held from 10:30 to 11:30, and the cost is $10 for the parent and child. And we're hoping to continue these classes on a weekly basis, but it depends on how many kids sign up for that. And again, all classes and activities can be, you can sign up in person or online. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. That concludes our updates.
Thank you very much. We move the mayor and council comments. I think I started down there last time. I'll start down here. Mr. Spitz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Attended the Coachella Valley Economic Partnership meeting. They had a discussion about water. I think it was water import, wasn't it, Roger? I'm the alternate, Roger's the primary, but decided to have it's an interesting topic, so I attended that. Attended Sunlight Transit Agency. I sit on the ad hoc committee. We're looking for a new general manager. It's quite a process, but getting started now. Lawrence Skyver, who's done an excellent job as the CEO down there, found another position, well-deserved. It's quite a nice position that she found in the private sector. And then following that meeting, had a regular transit agency meeting with nothing specific to Desert Hot Springs. Attended a meeting of a group called Neighborhood Voices. They're working on a ballot initiative to return local control on zoning issues back to cities. It's real tempting to get involved in that. They're on a signature gathering effort. Council might want to take that one up in the future. On Tuesday, 28th, attended the City Selection Committee, which is a committee where cities collectively make appointments to various county boards and commissions, such as LAFCO, and the Airport Land Use Commission, where I serve. I was reappointed at that for another term. March 2nd, I went up to the Southern California Association of Governments through hail and snow in Redlands. I actually had snowflakes hitting the windshield. It's quite an experience. I've never been that in California. It was a 2-hour presentation on Connect SoCal, and without getting into too much detail, it's basically a 25-year regional transportation plan, sustainable community strategy with long-range visiting plan that balances future mobility and housing needs with economic and environmental goals. And yes, I'm reading, and I won't read the rest of this, but it's basically the blueprint that serves as a planning document for cities and sets the criteria for grant funding from cities like us that participate, meet these goals, and federal grant funding becomes much more easy. I attended the women's fashion show. Didn't quite stay to the end. I heard it went on for quite a few hours, but I had a good time there. I won the one of the little raffle things, not the raffle, but where you bid on something. I had the highest bid, so I had a surprise today. I went and picked up I was told to go down to the Vista, Montana and pick up the event, and attended the women's club with Jan. So I was the only male in the room. They asked me to stay for lunch. I said, okay. It's quite interesting hearing the Pledge of Allegiance in only female voices. It's not something I hear often. Anyhow, I continue to meet with many residents on a regular basis regarding issues they have. Dogs causing problems, attacking people's cats or other people's dogs seem to be on the frequent last week, and there's also issues with residents who have neighborhood issues. One in particular where some squatters have moved in and they're looking for some relief, and staff, I understand, is working on that and appreciate that. If you have any concerns along those lines, I'm certainly happy to take your calls. I did have a question for staff. Now, I understand Mission Springs Water District is working on building a new $36 million office on property on Two Bunch Palms Trail. And my question is that something that would normally go through our planning commission for review? I mean, that's a big project, $36 million project. Will that be something that gets scheduled through our planning commission?
So we can look into that and then get back to you.
Okay, that would be great. All right, thanks. And then finally, as I was coming back from Southern California Association of Governments, I'm heading up 62. And you know, you always got this feeling when something's happened on the road up ahead of you. And as I'm driving up 62, I see this commotion, people coming to a quick stop. I didn't quite see the carrots literally flying through the air, but it was obvious that there's something had happened. And we are very, very lucky that people didn't get killed at that intersection. And I quickly called Dory, and she said PD and fire are already on the way. Fortunately, you know, the woman who was in the passenger car didn't, because she didn't stop as she should have. But she was sitting on a rock and was okay. The driver had just crawled out of his cab and just sat down, and he seemed to be okay, and a big sigh of relief. And I think, unless the chief or fire can tell me differently, that driver did a heck of a job to put his own life in peril and save these people, because I think if he had broadsided them, it probably would have been a much different story. Instead, he swerved this way and swerved back that way, and through the process, he rolled his truck and I imagine totaled it. And he was a bit shaken up. What was interesting was, just sitting there, I guess you guys hear this all the time, the driver's going, are they okay? And then somebody came over from, that was with them and asked, is he okay? And so everybody was. So thankfully, and you know, the super response from our emergency first responders. And then a great response from Danny just now to explain where we are on this. And you know, you're sitting there thinking, we've been working on this. This is something we're looking to do. The effort's in place. We're meeting with Caltrans. We're getting done what we need to do. But these projects take a while, and it's unfortunate. So my question would be, and my request would be, can we do something a little bit more than what's there now? Maybe flashing stop aheads. We control the area on Pearson to the north. There's certain things that we could do now. If staff could take a look at that and see what can we do as safety enhancements that we can put in now ahead of Caltrans agreeing to anything, I think that's called for. And Mr. Mayor, that's all I have today.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Starting off, Desert X is back in town, and we've got 3 great art pieces here in the city. The opening reception up off Pearson was really fun and a beautiful night. And Desert X is such a great way to show off this city, bringing people from all over the valley, who's all over Southern California, who've never been here. In fact, even in the awful weather Sunday night, there were 10 cars and half of them were out-of-state plates over at one of the pieces here in town. Because of all that exposure, though, and because some of these art sites are in areas known for our trash dumping, I really want to give kudos to our public works staff and our contractors at Desert Concepts. Nick, you and your staff have done a great job cleaning up those dumped areas, especially at the last minute cleanup off Pearson, where within hours of a major reception where the mayor was the featured speaker, we walking down the hill and we saw what amounted to be the Edom Hill dump in a retention pond there, and you guys were out there to get that cleaned up before the crowd showed up within like 2 hours, and that's just amazing. So Nick, you and your staff and our contractor should get a huge vote of thanks and recognition for an absolutely amazing job getting that done. For those of you who have not seen Desert X, it runs through May 7th. You've got plenty of time. You can download a map and info as well as a phone app you want to use that way at desertx.org, or you can pick up all of that stuff in paper form at the Desert X Hub at the ACE Hotel in Palm Springs. And I've reached out to them. I haven't had a chance to get back to them yet, but I'm hoping they can drop off some of that stuff here at City Hall so you don't have to drive all the way over to Palm Springs to get it if you want to get it. But for now, you run through May 7th. It's really a great thing for the Valley, and it's particularly for DHS. I was really happy that the mayor, thank you, was unable to make National Reading Day up at Cabot Yerxa. I got to fill in for him. We had a handful of our PD officers and our fire officers there, as well as some cadets from the Marine Corps ROTC. And we all got to read this kid's book called The Crayon Box That Talked, and got to discuss it with them. It was so fun. I was moved by the discussion with the kids and all the love they showered on all of us, those who read to them. It was just an amazing morning. Spent a Sunday afternoon with the Public Safety Committee for the Agua Dulce Homeowners Association. They were going to discuss general public safety issues, and particularly a homeless camp that was behind the Pizza Hut and up against their back wall. And code compliance is able to get permission from the property owner to do a cleanup and eviction, and working with them to secure the site from future encampments. And homeowners there are all very happy with the results over the course of this week. We discussed some other pending public safety issues and questions, and I recommended that they work with the city's Public Safety Commission to develop recommendations and plans that the commission can then present to City Council down the road. And lastly, got a chance to attend the fashion show for the Desert Hot Springs Women's Club, celebrating their 70th year, which is an amazing achievement in and of itself. That organizations often come and go, but this organization has stayed strong all these years. The amazing group of women are so supportive of all of the youth in our city, and with scholarships and mentoring, and a key element what makes the city so special. So congratulations to the Women's Club on their 70th year. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Nunez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple of things. I just want to thank Nick. That Parks Master Plan, I was the one that bugging you over it, so I thank you for bringing it down. So I can't wait to see it and be a participant and see what feedback we get from the residents of the park. The other thing, I have a question on the Public Works project that we have still on Palm. I notice on the northeast corner of Mission Lakes and Palm that it's not completed. Is that going to be done at a later date, or is that not part of the project?
I'll have to check on that for you and find out what's going on with it.
Yeah, because I noticed on the west side it is completed, but on the north side it wasn't. So I just wanted to get a follow-up to see if it was a part of it or they're just doing it at another time. Thank you for that. Roberta, I want to say thank you. The rec is coming along really nice, and all these, I even talking to people with the archery, they're like, really? We're getting archery? Like, yeah. So it's something that's, the community is really excited for, so I really want to thank you. My kids do play the basketball league that's there. One thing, I did talk to the residents there that have their children there, and I know Thursdays and Friday nights usually get late, so I was going to see what we can do, and maybe we can get a food truck out there just for those 2 evenings or something, just to help out, because I know when parents get done in the basketball league, they have to go all the way back into, Palm just to get, something to eat for the kids. So just an idea, just a thought if maybe we can get that done. That's about it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pye.
The Desert Hot Springs Fashion Show raised the most money than it has in several years, and it all goes to scholarships. That's it.
Well, thank you. My report's going to be really short also. Just trying to find this one report. So the reading day, thank you for stepping on that. I had committed to it, and then my wife committed to it, and at the last minute I asked Gary to commit to it since he talked so highly about reading before to them. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then Desert X, as stated, it's here. It's fully functioning all over the valley. It's a great opportunity to go out and see art. Whether you understand it or not, it's cool. The pieces here in Desert Hot Springs, there's 3 pieces, and the piece on or the display up on Tuscan Hills area there, Pearson, is really fantastic. So if you get a chance, it is a little bit of a hike, so be careful if you pull in there. You have to kind of hike up the hill there to get to it, but it's fantastic. Let's see, what else do I got? I haven't had a lot of meetings. I've been really busy with Little League. I want to thank all the staff for everybody that's participating in Little League this year to help and assist and get it done. I believe we're over 300 kids now and counting. Opening day is the 25th, and I'm sure there'll be more kids coming in before that, but for the most part, it's hopefully the whole council can attend. We'll have the opening day that day, and give a great opportunity again, as Mayor Pro Tem said, for you to get out and give your opinions about parks, and so it's a great outreach there. There'll be quite a few parents there, so it'll be a good opportunity. And then lastly, the Riverside County Transportation Commission has we all get appointed as members of the commission to subcommittees, and one of the subcommittees I sit on is budget implementation. At the last meeting, it finally came through that the Cycle 6 grant funding from the state, the recommendations were to fund 2 projects in Desert Hot Springs. We kind of talked about this a while back, but it's finally getting there, which starts the ball rolling for us to get the designs and everything else to start the process. And it's $8.4 million to Hacienda East, which is the project that we've been talking about, that where the current Hacienda project ends on Foxdale. It goes east all the way up to Long Canyon. And it goes Long Canyon, right, Danny? Yeah. And then there's another project in that same cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cities, or the county's part of this also. So there was 8 entities that were awarded, and Desert Hot Springs received 2 of those awards. The first one, as I stated, for 8.4, and the second award is for $8.9 million, almost $9 million. And this will actually finish the improvements on Palm Drive from I-10 to Camino Aventura. So we'll finally have all of Palm Drive completely refurbished. By the time we finish that, they'll probably have to start over, right? Now, if you oil it right and do all the right things to the streets, they'll last 20 years, hopefully. With that said, just again, kudos to staff for making sure you stay on top of that and make sure you keep putting in all the stuff and all the public works and everybody in community development. Everybody has done anything to touch this project. Thank you so much. There's a lot of work there. Mr. Betts will be attending for me tomorrow, and it should be the final approval should be tomorrow. No, I think it's in consent calendar. Those are just. I don't want to brag too much, because then someone might say, "Hey, hold on." You know, it's. Most of the agency, there's 34 seats on that commission, and everybody's pretty respectful for how staff scores everything. So I have never seen anybody not get what they deserved from the scoring. So and this comes back to, again, I want to say thank you to staff for all their hard work, because the scoring comes on how they put in these applications. So to beat out I don't see the rest of the list, but when I first initially looked at it, I believe there was probably close to 50 projects on that list easily, and they rank them, and so pretty cool. Thank you. I have nothing else, so we're going to move on to our public hearings. Our first item is item number 4. It's an ordinance amending operating hours for specific cannabis facilities exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15061, subsection B, subsection 3, and that's going to be Ms. Newsom.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. So before you tonight is a proposed amendment to the cannabis facility hours of operation. Cannabis business regulations are outlined in Title V of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code. And to provide a little bit of background, how the city and the staff continuously try to work with our cannabis industry when we find that There are, areas of regulations that require a little bit more teeth or a little less teeth. I just want to provide some background. So in 2021, staff repealed and replaced Chapter 5.50 Cannabis Business Regulations and oversaw a cannabis tax task force to research the city's tax structure that resulted in amending the city's cultivation tax structure from 0 to 3,000 square feet at 2,550 and 3,000 plus square feet at 1020 to 1020 per square feet flat without a tiered system. As of 2022, there were 15 cultivation facilities, 4 manufacturing facilities, 21 multi-use facilities, 5 non-storefront retail facilities, and 6 distribution facilities. The city engaged in conversations with our cannabis industry about the struggles they're facing, including but not limited to high taxes, decreasing crop values, the black market, and a lack of access to capital. In 2023, the city was approached by several cannabis operators to request an increase in hours of operation. The proposed amendments would allow for cultivation, manufacturing, testing, and distribution facilities' hours of operation to be revised from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. to 24 hours per day, allowing for increased productivity, ability to immediately dispose of contaminated products, ability to monitor plants at any hour of the cultivation stage and correct adverse conditions, increase revenue, and allow for watering and fertigation 24 hours a day. Additionally, to protect the health and safety of our residents, these cannabis facilities would have to comply with noise regulations outlined in Title 8. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. We can have questions to staff based on the report. Is there any questions before I open the public hearing? I see none. I'll open the public hearing at this time. We're going to take any testimony in favor. Anyone that'd like to speak in favor may come forth. State your name and you can begin your comments. Final call. I will then take testimony from anybody opposed to this ordinance change. I see nobody coming forth. Is anybody in neutral position who would like to speak to the council during this public hearing? I see nobody coming forth. We will close the public hearing and we will go to council discussion. How does anyone? Yes.
Thanks. We started this process for welcoming cannabis to the city of Desert Hot Springs back in 2013. We started the discussion, and we had no idea that manufacturing was going to be a part of it, much less how big it's become. And I think there were some hours set, and everything on that time was focused in on dispensaries. And so I was really surprised to see that the limits on the hours of operation for all cannabis facilities are from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I can't think of any other manufacturing type that has those type of time restrictions on them. I know a furniture store that we had in town didn't, and the dairy operation, other things don't. I know at my factory, the first shift started at 6 a.m., clocked out at 2:30. Then swing shift comes on at 2:30 and works till 11. And then if you need a graveyard, they're going. I never once checked with any city official or read any ordinance that said that that wasn't normal, because that is just normal for operations like that. So I don't know how this one went so long, but I'm glad it's getting corrected now. So on that phase of it, that part of it, I'm really glad we're getting this fixed. The other question comes up, though, with regarding the dispensaries, and I understand we set the time from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Is there a state regulation or guideline on that time frame?
Yes, so there is a state regulation that is 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., and staff is actually preparing an amendment to an ordinance to match state law.
6 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
Correct.
Okay. What I can't understand is why, as I examined this with a couple of different dispensaries and discussions when I saw this on the agenda, and with some bar owners, and I'm just trying to figure out why it's not the same as would be a bar at 2 a.m. I don't understand why the distinction between the cannabis and the alcohol.
Yeah, just a state regulation.
I got it.
That we
I got
have
it.
to follow, yeah.
So, if we're going up to Sacramento, we're going to push it. I keep seeing this industry as so strangled by regulation that it's something different than anything else. And the point is, it should just follow the same guidelines, and you can make a connection between distribution at a dispensary and distribution at a bar. So there's going to be some restriction there. We don't let bars stay open all night. And there's, so anyhow, I'll keep it short here and just thank staff for finally getting around to this. I don't think it was ever our intent, but we didn't know. We should have brought this to us a few years sooner, but I'm glad you brought it now. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Gardner, anything? Ms. Nunez?
I just wanted to say, I think as this is a very fairly new, ordinance, or even with cannabis in any other city, and this is the first one to really take the lead on moving it, merchandising it, warehousing it, cropping it. So I think things will change as time goes on, as we get to know more what regulations are. And it's our job when we go to Sacramento and DC to see where this is going, how this is going to change the black market, how this is going to change manufacturing, and also small communities like ours. So I think with time, it'll change. That rule, hopefully with the hours, might change also. So that's all.
Ms. Pye?
Don't talk about the black market. Sometimes bureaucracy makes things easy, and this was easy to expand these hours. And that's all I have to say.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, that we adopt staff recommendation on the times for the manufacturing and other manufacturing type uses, but also that we change the dispensary times to match state law of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I don't need a staff report on that one. It seems to make sense to me. And if we're able to do that, since those are mentioned in the staff report, the words, those hours and everything are part of the conversation here, I would say, as I see the city attorney wrestling around trying to tell me I can't make that motion, but that's my
See
motion.
if it's a public hearing, if we can add that in.
So
I know we have
that was not
noticing
something that was brought before Planning Commission, and that would actually, that would probably be as well in Title 17, I believe. So that would have to go to Planning Commission, but I know that staff is working on bringing it forward.
Would you make a strong recommendation that be brought forward as quick as possible?
Yeah, I might do that. I'm going to argue with the city manager or city attorney a second, or at least inquire. So you're telling me because it was mentioned in this staff report, but I've been in other agencies, and they've taken great latitude to say that it's germane as long as it's mentioned, and we can only act on what the Planning Commission acts exactly. We have no room to move.
No, it's not exactly that. It was noticed in a certain way. The noticing specifically stated the exact subsections, et cetera, that we were going to be changing. So that's my understanding is how it was noticed. And in addition to that, Planning Commission did not have an opportunity to look at the hours of operation for cannabis. So there was no public input for dispensaries, so there was no input by the public on that. So my recommendation would be for a separate ordinance because of the noticing and because of the public.
So on the city attorney's recommendation and the mayor's advice, my motion will be to accept staff recommendation as presented.
Thank you.
With a strong recommendation that be brought back quickly.
Yes.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. If you can put them up on the screen. Do you need any further discussion?
Yeah, I would just say, I would ask staff to look at the impacts also, what that means if we do close at 10. What does that mean for emergency services? What does that mean for people out there driving on, basically a DUI? So I just see what the impacts are of staying up later.
Well, no, I'm just to be clear, I was talking going to 6 a.m. So they're going to wake up earlier instead of going past. I think state laws.
All right, we're already
stops at 10.
currently at 10 p.m., so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't go later, it would go earlier.
Very well.
All right, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. The ordinance as read by title shall return on March 21st for second reading and adoption.
Thank you very much. Move to item number 5. It's an ordinance of the update regulations for transfer of ownership of cannabis businesses exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15061, subsection B, subsection 3. Again, Ms. Newsom.
Yes, Mayor and City Council, this is a proposed amendment to the transfer of ownership process for cannabis facilities. Cannabis business regulations are outlined in Title V of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code. Currently, the city's municipal code does not clearly define ownership of a cannabis facility, while state regulations specifically define what changes in ownership constitute a transfer of ownership. To help streamline staff's process in reviewing and approving transfer of ownership applications, it is necessary to specify which changes in ownership trigger that process. So our proposed amendments are as follows. 1, to define ownership as 1, a person with an aggregate ownership interest of 20% or more in a cannabis facility. 2, the manager of a nonprofit or other entity. 3, a member of the board of directors of a nonprofit or for-profit entity. 4, all persons with an aggregate ownership interest of 20% or more in a cannabis facility, including but not limited to a person who will be participating in the direction, control, or management of a cannabis facility. Second, a change in ownership. So any of the following changes in ownership affecting a permittee shall require an issuance of a new cannabis facility regulatory permit. And this is to preserve historical data and records of both the current and new entity. And then lastly, changes to a cannabis facility. So a modification to an existing permit would be permitted with a modification for a change to the structure or operation of a cannabis facility. And this would allow for operators to make minor modifications to an existing permit without having to undergo the transfer of ownership process. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
This is the opportunity for council to ask any questions on the staff report, from the staff report? For the staff report or discussion at the end?
From the staff report.
Go ahead.
So a change of ownership would require them to go through a new regulatory permit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so to kind of give you some background and some explanation, currently the process is that we do require that an applicant essentially apply for a transfer of ownership process in the way that our existing system opens up the existing application and then amends it. This is a much cleaner version where a new application is filed, so they are separate, but they are related in the way that there is a parent-child record, which allows the staff to preserve that historical data and records in a way that we haven't before.
So how does this comport to what the state requirements are for change of ownership? Are we tougher, more lenient? Or can we be more lenient than the state?
We are very vague with respect to the way that we define ownership. With respect to having to file a new application, that is simply to streamline staff's process.
But does the state have any restrictions on change of ownership?
Yeah, and they're very similar to what we have here, which
exactly,
is that...
or are ours tougher? Or?
No, not tougher. Are you referring to the application process?
No, just a change of ownership of the business. I'm going to go in and buy an existing, I don't want to, but if I did, buy an existing marijuana cultivation facility. If it's any other business, if I go in and buy a furniture store, I just go through what I need to do with the attorneys, get everything worked out on the purchase and the sale and how we're buying it, and we're done. But here you're saying there's some other extra requirement?
No, the comparison is the definition of ownership. That is what we are clarifying. That is what we are defining, because as the regulations are currently, staff has had to make that determination based on the very vagueness of the code. And it could be currently that we have an owner with literally 1% ownership or a publicly traded company, and we would literally have to request that all of those owners or one of those owners come in and do a transfer of ownership process to simply add one owner or remove one owner. Wherein the proposed regulations, we are requiring a certain percentage to have been established so that you have a certain amount of vested interest in the corporation for it to make sense to trigger that process.
Okay, I don't understand why we have to get a new regulatory permit. It's already been given an operation, a license to operate, a regulatory permit to operate. That's quite an onerous process to get through a new regulatory permit, isn't it?
That is the current process. So what we're talking about is sort of just the internal logistics of the new application, because we want people to read the code and understand, okay, I apply for a new application in order to start this process. Whereas currently the code is so vague that we get multitudes of calls. How do I do this? What is the process? And so now the code will outline that you simply file a new regulatory permit application, and staff will then associate this existing regulatory permit application to the new application. The fees are exactly the same. So currently, if you file for a transfer of ownership, you pay the regulatory permit fee. They simply will be two applications that are not directly the same in our system.
Okay, so if I had a manufacturing business in town making widgets, this process is considerably more onerous on the sale and transfer of that business than it would be on the widget business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason for that being is that there is a background check process that needs to be undergone for every single owner. We do both, in-state live scans, and then we also do a background disclosure for all owners. And so that's what makes it more onerous.
Okay, and I remember when we were first getting into this, we were, a lot of concern about who was going to come in and operate this, because there are some parts of that industry that we've not wanted to be part of our city. So I got that part. So basically, the bottom line is, I get the sense that we're making this over-regulated for what it is, but maybe a better analogy would be if somebody wants to come in and operate a bar or some type of liquor facility, they have a little bit more restrictions than just the widget company that I'm using as an example. So you're making it simpler.
Yeah, we're making it simpler for the applicant as well as staff.
Okay, well, I won't get to my perfect world yet, but I appreciate you making it simpler. Thank you.
Anyone else have questions for staff? All right, we'll open the public hearing at this time. We'll take any testimony in favor. Would anybody like to speak to this item? Anybody opposed? Anyone in neutral position? I see no one standing to come forward. I will close the public hearing at this time, and I will start discussion. Anybody have any discussion or like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we amend that we adopt the ordinance to update regulations for transfer of ownership for cannabis businesses exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15061B3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion?
Nothing on my screen, Jerome. There it goes.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Desert Hot Springs, amending Section 5.50 Cannabis Businesses of Title V Business Licenses and Regulations of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code in order to update regulations for transfers of ownership. The ordinance shall return on March 21st for second reading and adoption.
Our next item is an ordinance amending the regulations to mobile food vending vehicles, also known as food trucks, exempt from CEQA pursuant to the CEQA guidelines, section 15061, subsection B3. And that's also going to be Ms. Newsom.
So sorry. So to provide some background on the requested amendment for mobile food truck regulations, the city is currently working on downtown revitalization, investing grant money into small businesses, encouraging tourism and commercial activity, and promoting diversity of dining options in the city. The city currently does allow for food trucks with permits. However, regulations are so rigorous that they limit their operations. And the city's future proposed events and projects would be hindered by the current regulations, limiting the time, place where food trucks can operate. So the current regulations interfere with our economic development strides that the city has made in the general commercial zones, with working with developers and our small business communities. Additionally, to protect the health and safety of residents and patrons, we must comply with state, county, and local regulations. The proposed amendments will align regulations with that of the state and the county to ensure that safe food handling, sanitation, and hand washing practices are adhered to. And furthermore, it safeguards patrons by ensuring that permitted food trucks are identifiable. To give you an example of the areas currently in the city that are prohibited for food trucks, they are outlined there in red, and as you can see, it is the majority of the city. So the proposed amendments would change hours of operation, allowing for food trucks to be within a commercial zone between the hours of 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. and in all other zones between the hour 2 a.m. sorry, and between in all other zones between the hours of 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. It also provides that County of Riverside regulations are adhered to and that food trucks must provide trash receptacles. They must display a decal issued by the County of Riverside Health Inspector, and they must furnish a driver's license and a food handler certificate when requested either by law enforcement officials or by code enforcement officials. It also will ensure that food trucks are operating in accordance with the California Health and Safety Code regulations and that they must operate within 200 feet of an approved and readily available toilet and hand washing facility to ensure that restroom facilities are available to vendor employees. It additionally amends temporary use permit guidelines. So currently a temporary use permit issued under the subsection is only valid for a maximum of 30 days. This would change it to 90 calendar days. And if a vendor is approved for multiple temporary use permit, the aggregate time allowed shall not exceed 270 calendar days in the commercial downtown zone or 100 days in all other zones in a single calendar year. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Newsom, one quick, as I'm reading this, I was a little bit confused. You're giving them a block of time to be up and open, and I thought, well, what if that time exceeds marked parking times? And then I go around and we realize we don't have any marked times in the city. So, but do we need to address, I mean, would we address that in the, for instance, if down the road we put a 2-hour time limit in downtown, would that then supersede this, or would we have to come back and address that at that point?
Oh, I don't know. I would defer to the city attorney.
So I would say that we would probably need to come back and address it because they were technically, if the city council decides to do some kind of parking restriction, there would have to be, you know, an exemption or some kind of thing to actually address that. Currently, I don't think we have those regulations.
I was surprised, but I go around and yeah, we don't have any timed parking spots anywhere, so.
Right, and so if we did, then those would need to be addressed. We would have to adjust the food trucks eventually.
Okay, that's it. That's all I've got. It's a much needed update, and I am really looking forward to seeing some more food trucks and stuff here in town. So hopefully this will help push things along. Thanks.
Great. No other discussion?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So are we looking at opening up citywide, or we're still going to stick to designated areas?
Still designated areas, still regulations that would limit operations in areas like residential areas or adjacent residential areas. The most important part of that being that there's still no operation in the safety zone. So nothing there, nothing adjacent to. Really what this does, it allows for more opportunity to be in areas like the commercial downtown, like the commercial general areas, and it provides a lot of safety components too for the food trucks now that they're allowed to be in places, because right now they're just trying to fit into places that they really don't fit into.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
No, good.
Yeah, I got one. Okay, so in the ordinance about the cannabis manufacturing, we had consideration for noise. And every food truck I've ever stepped up to, first thing ringing in my ears, is a very noisy generator. Now, I know there's generators that are quiet. If you get a Honda and it's sitting up there quietly going away, and you can get some that are inexpensive and very, very loud and rattly. I'm imagining a generator running somewhere just making all kinds of noise. We need to do something to control that. Why wasn't there, or is there any consideration for noise in this as you presented it?
So Title 8 would cover the noise regulations so Title 8 noise regulations, we regulate noise by various components such as repetitiveness or the number of times that you have to encounter the noise. We don't do decibel readings, obviously, but if there was something that was continuously disruptive, then we could enforce against any food truck.
Well, we may need to come back and visit that one, but we've got residents who hear a constant quiet hum from some of the cannabis facilities into their house. They can hear it in their bedroom. It's just this annoying low-pitch hum, and if you went and looked at the decibel meter, they're not, nobody's exceeding anything, But you're sitting there listening to these generators. I mean, just imagine when you're down there at Mission Springs Park for what the Mission Springs Water District just did an event down there. And all the generators blaring, you can almost barely hear the speakers. There's got to be something put in here. I'd like you to bring something back that says, you know, a decibel requirement from so many feet away. There's some measure besides just getting an old Predator generator, the cheapest one you can find, and setting it out on the curb and making all kinds of noise, disturbing local businesses or wherever they happen to be adjacent to. That needs to be, if we could put that in the motion now, but I don't think we're prepared to, but that needs to come back to us. If you could figure out a way to put that in the motion now, that's the motion like to be made, is that noise from generators
Well,
to be
we're not even
contained.
close to a motion yet, so let's not get there. That'll be more for the discussion. I still haven't opened the public hearing yet, so, thanks. Any other comments for staff on the staff report itself? All right, we'll now open the public hearing and we'll take any testimony in favor of this item. Anybody like to speak to this item? Anybody opposed to this item? Anybody in neutral position would like to speak on this item? All right, we'll close the public hearing at this time. I don't see anybody coming forth. And we'll go to city council discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the ordinance amending regulations to mobile food vending vehicles exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines 15061B3.
Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. This is a first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Desert Hot Springs, amending Chapter 5.52, mobile food vending vehicles of Title V, business licenses and regulations of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code. The ordinance shall return on March 21st for second reading and adoption.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to the administrative calendar. Item number 7, which is a funding request for public art installation at 11940 Palm Drive. Mr. Bissarro.
Mr. Mayor, before we continue on this item, my wife and I have a hair salon at 120, what is it? Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
Very close to that address.
Very close to that, 12084 Palm Drive, which is very, very close to this location, so we would have a potential conflict of interest with art being nearby, so I'm going to recuse.
Thank you very much. When he leaves the dais, Eric, it's all yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You guys look great from this side.
So I finally found my good side, Dory.
Yes, this is absolutely your good side.
Thank you.
So today what I have for you is actually a really unique project. It is a mural in the downtown corridor. So a little bit of background. Over the last a little over 12 months, we've been working on this downtown steering committee meeting, as well as working with creating workshops with some college students, as well as we have our local art group that we discuss art projects with. Aligned with this was the onboarding of our new economic development director, Sean Smith, and part of his efforts are really bringing that tourism to the downtown corridor. And this obviously aligns really well with what Travis brings to the table as well. So this, along with, coupled with what we've been proposed, aligns really well with the future festivals coming up this year, as well as Desert X. As you guys know, the downtown corridor is part of the art district, which is what we're working on establishing. We've been having extensive talks even with some of our local staff. Vivian's been really a big part of that and really bringing that to our attention and how important that is to establish an art district. With that, the downtown revitalization efforts, we want to make sure that we take a step in the right direction. And so we've been meeting with some artists. We've been more recently talking with Casey Zoltan, owner of the Seventh Letter. He has recently relocated his headquarters across the street. He's a well-known curator as well as artist, and he actually has and has had a shop, an art gallery off of Melrose Boulevard. Very successful, doing a lot of different events. One thing that he's brought recently to us is a mural proposal. He recently had one of his friends, a very well-known artist who's actually in the audience today, Trav, He's an American artist, and he came by and saw that building there and thought would be a monumental piece for the community. He actually drafted a proposal and submitted it to the city, which is Exhibit 2 in your staff report. On March 1st, we then met with the property owner, Sam, and we received verbal approval. Sam is as well in the audience in support of the mural. The sponsorship amount as well includes a launch party for the completion of the mural, which would be hosted in the month of April. So the scope of work includes the art installation, the preparation, all the supplies that go into it, as well as a maintenance component to it. There's a really neat thing, and I'm going to pass something up to you guys. It's a little box. It says Creator on it, spelled a little differently. And so this company actually, they work hand in hand with Casey and Trav to not only do the art, but make it an interactive experience and what they call gamify. And what they do is they actually have codes on their art pieces where you can actually scan and it'll tell you all about the art. It'll also, it might show videos of how that art was installed or even promotional videos. All that is, we're working with Casey to mark out what that looks like. And it also includes an educational workshop that would be during that launch to teach artists how to use these apps to sell their artwork and actually make a living on it. The mural site does need prep work. We've walked the site with a contractor and have had some discussions on what those upgrades look like. Part of that's cleaning, some new DG, some plants that need to be taken down, or some trees that need to be taken down as part of that mural installation, along with lighting so it's well lit up at night, and as well as some minor repairs that are around the building. So here it is. This is one of the proposals for the mural in the downtown. This is a one-of-a-kind mural, and what this would be is it would actually be 4 different murals, one on each side of the building. What this would do is it would really liven up that downtown area. On the corner, the actual main corner pointing south west on Pearson and Palm, you would have this really unique way of seeing that artwork kind of come alive. So a little bit about the curator. He's well known. He has 230,000 followers on Instagram. Pretty well known. Kind of funny. Known gallery is well known. And he also works very closely, obviously, with Creator. The other organizations network with which all work on promoting artists and getting them gigs and getting them actually showing them to the public. One of the biggest things is Casey actually relocated his headquarters just across the street to City Hall, and he's really hoping to really use this as a way to launch and help these artists. His heart's really in the right place. And aside from that, he has a very extensive portfolio where he's worked with organizations and companies like Versace, Nike, Converse, etc. He also has worked on and been part of very extensive art projects such as Art Basel, South by Southwest, Life is Beautiful, and many others. The artist himself, Trav, he's also in the audience. He's part of the Seventh Letter, also part of all of the same organizations, and very much so aligns with trying to help artists and really showcase what they can do. His portfolio is as well very extensive. He's done things for various different organizations and companies, and if you've seen, and you'll see here are some examples of a little bit of what he's done. He's worked with Life Water and many other organizations to do really unique projects that bring to life things that didn't necessarily have so much life on them. The recommendation here is to authorize the city manager to negotiate, finalize, and execute agreements with the parties, the Seventh Letter and property owner at 11940 Palm Drive for the mural installation and exterior improvements in the amount not to exceed $84,000. And 2, to authorize the city manager to utilize an amount of up to $50,000 for mural site preparation and spectator improvements at 11940 Palm Drive and surrounding area. And myself, the owner, as well as Casey and Trav, the artists, are all here as well as their entourage. And that concludes my report, and I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we get to questions, I'm going to let, if the artist or anyone from this organization would like to come up and say a few words, and then we'll take some public comments, then I'm going to get to council questions. You don't have to speak, but you're more than welcome to come up and say anything you'd like to say. Yes, please. The mic's on, so.
My name is Casey Zoltan.
Hello.
I'm the founder of Seventh Letter Known Gallery. As he stated, I had a very successful gallery on Fairfax and a very successful clothing store on Fairfax as well. I've done tons of shows there, as well as pop-ups with everybody from Kanye to Drake to Hello Kitty, Sanrio, Nike, Adidas, and everyone else you could imagine. Kind of created the pop-ups and the idea of doing pop-ups. Our spot was very popular. We shared a building with a brand called Supreme that just got sold for $2.5 billion. That's with a B. We brought culture to a street that only had commerce and didn't have any culture. And that's kind of what we're well known for. I've also toured art shows around the world since, I don't know, for the last 20 years. I've brought 40, 50 people with me to Tokyo, Taipei, Barcelona, Milan, Paris, and many other places. I'm here in Desert Hot Springs. I'd love to see the growth of it. There's a lot of case studies that you could look at where art really changed everything. You look at the Wynwood District in Art Basel, Miami, which is the biggest art venture in the world now. It used to be Little Haiti, and it was not a safe place to go to. When I first started going to Art Basel, Miami, only place you could use the bathroom was at Rally Burger, 10 blocks away. Now it's nothing but 5-star restaurants, and they're the cheapest mural you could buy, the cheapest wall that you can rent for 1 month in the Wynwood District during Art Basel is about $150,000, just to give you an idea of what it became and what it was 10 years ago. If you look at Tony Goldman, he was the person behind a lot of that. We call it the Tony Goldman effect. They did the same thing in Detroit. You look at Detroit less than 10 years ago, and there was over 10,000 houses for sale for $1. Art and music and fashion changed Detroit. And I think art can do the same thing here. I think Desert Hot Springs has all the bones to be very successful and to, in my opinion, I think Desert Hot Springs should be and will be bigger than Palm Springs or what's going on in Yucca Valley and Joshua Tree and these types of places. You look at the bones, you look at the mid-century architecture here, you look at the buildings that exist here, it blows my mind to think that, the AYSO, is more popular than the spa. When you look at, one used to be, I don't know, maybe an old Holiday Inn or something, and one has 8 pools and palm trees in the middle of it and this beautiful mid-century architecture. DHS has what it takes. It just needs a facelift, and I think art is a good start.
Appreciate
and I'm
it.
open
Thank
to any
you.
questions.
Yeah. We'll get to those in a second. Anyone else like to say a few words?
Hello, my name is Trav. I probably won't say quite as much as Casey just did, but I'm here. I got into art through graffiti. When I was younger, I was exploring my talents in different ways, and through the mentorship of Casey, I've been able to kind of transition my life and my work into a bit more of a public service, and I'm super passionate about public art and serving communities. I travel the world painting at mural festivals and working with brands and people alike, and I'm just happy to be here and serve the community.
Awesome. We're glad to have you guys. I'll open up to public comments this time. We'll bring you guys back up if there's any specific questions. I'll open up to public comments this time. Would anybody like to make any public comments to this item?
I'm the owner of the building, Sam. I just wanted to say it's an honor to be here today, share with you this project I'm extremely excited about. As the property owner in the heart of downtown Desert Hot Springs, I believe it's my responsibility to invest in projects that will enhance the beauty and vibrancy of our community. I'm particularly fond of the proposed mural on the building by the famous artist, Trav. This project represents a fantastic opportunity to bring art to downtown, showcasing the unique and diverse cultural identity of our city. Trav is a renowned artist with a track record of producing exceptional works of art, and his artwork has been featured in numerous prestigious establishments, exhibitions, and collections. I'm convinced that the mural will make a significant impact on the aesthetic appeal of our downtown district. I believe the mural reflects the local culture and is a vivid depiction of Desert Hot Springs, making it a unique and authentic representation of our community, showcasing the diversity and richness of our cultural heritage. It will serve as an attraction for our visitors and tenants to the area, as a landmark that people can use to navigate through the area, increasing foot traffic and visibility. It will also help enhance property values, contributing to the growth and prosperity of our city. As part of this project, I'm committed to making the necessary improvements to my property, such as repairing windows and doors, sprucing up the landscaping, and ensuring that my property complements the overall aesthetics of the area. I'm also committed to maintaining the mural to ensure that it remains a source of pride and beauty for years to come. In conclusion, I believe that this project represents a unique and exciting opportunity to enhance the beauty and vibrancy of our downtown district. I'm committed to making this project a success, and I hope that you will join me in supporting this initiative. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you for volunteering your building there too. Anyone else like to make any comments? All right, we'll close the public comments at this time. I'm just going to say one thing. I'll go to Mr. Gardner. I love this project. I think it's fantastic for our community. We have an art public places funding mechanism for these types of projects. Might seem like a lot of money, but for what it's going to do for our downtown, we've had a lot of groups come through and say, oh, we can do this or we can do that. But there's every once in a while you see something and you feel it and you kind of get to that point like that's going to work. And that's kind of what happened when Desert X came to our community 6 years ago and started talking about it. I kind of felt it was something bigger, and it's become huge for our community in the art world. So I'm thinking this is a start for something that could become really big for our community. We've had some murals painted here and there, and become political and all that. This isn't political at all. This is a great piece for our downtown. It's going to fit there and really enhance it. The one comment I did make to staff when I read their report and when I talked to them about it was that I hope in the future, if not added to this project, would be some uplighting, so that the project's lit at night very well. Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I will echo your comments. I think this is incredibly cool, and it's going to look fantastic and really add to our downtown. I did want to ask either the artist or the curator just one quick question of concern. We do tend to have some graffiti issues here in town, and we recently repainted the community center at Tedesco Park last year, and it lasted about a day. And now our graffiti guy goes over there every day and wipes it down. I'm trusting you guys are putting a coating on it or something to be able to resist tagging and graffiti, or we'll be able to constantly be working on. I don't want, not that our graffiti guy isn't any good, but I don't want him to damage it by.
Yeah, there'll be a protective coating, and they asked us this question before. Number one, for the most part, a lot of people respect good art, good established artists, graffiti artists, whatever you want to call. But it's all of our kind of duty to keep stuff clean. Broken window effect, right? Like, you let graffiti ride for a day or two, then they're going to do more. If it gets buffed right away, then they might try it again, but eventually they'll give up, right? Like, it's our duty to just keep it clean, and that's not just this mural, but just graffiti in general. But yeah, I mean, it's in Trav's best interest and everyone else's best interest to keep the mural in tip-top shape, by all means. So yeah, we will be maintaining it as well, but it will also have an anti-graffiti code on it.
I appreciate your faith in people, but our wonderful sculptures in the medians are getting tagged every other day too, it seems like, and we keep erasing it. What's the expected lifespan of this? I mean, you're going to put it up, it's going to be fantastic, it's going to look great. Fades over time?
No, it shouldn't fade with the UV coat on it. But, you know, it just depends, you know. I mean, I think we have murals that are, you know, 10, 20 plus years. It just depends, you know. I think eventually, with the success of what you'll see from this mural, that you'll eventually want to go over it. You know, like if you guys are familiar with the downtown Las Vegas district, that was a project that Tony Shea did, the owner of Zappos.com. They have a big music festival, an art festival out there called Life is Beautiful. And you know, originally it was, you know, paint these murals and they're going to run forever, and now they're constantly going over walls because there's just so many major artists around the world that want to just come and paint it. You know, murals and street art and these types of things have, again, they've really changed the dynamics of a lot of cities and areas. You know, I mean, downtown Vegas is a good example, right? It went from like pretty grimy to the coolest place in Vegas, and a lot of that is through art. So I think in this situation, how long would the mural last? I mean, it could last 20, 30 years, but I have a feeling that, you know, it'll probably be repainted within 10 years or so, because you're going to run out of walls and you're going to want to, you know, keep painting new murals, and you'll probably have some type of mural or music/art festival here, and you're going to need the space. But, you know, it could last as long as you want it to, you know.
Okay.
And, you know, like I told them, like, Trav's willing to, you know, keep it up and update it. And, you know, even like we guys talked about lighting, like I think, you know, we even discussed that with like lighting, like we can have a play in that as well as designing signs and neons, and there's so much things that you could do with it. So.
No, I'm glad to hear that. It's a really exciting project, and also the colors and everything will complement the container part going in down the road, and I think it'll all tie in together really nice. I do have a staff question on the funding part of it. Bulk of it is coming out of the Art in Public Places Fund. Is that 50,000 prep work piece coming out of Art in Public Places too? Okay, I want to clarify on that. No, I think this is fantastic. I'm excited to support it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My history and my experience working with graffiti artists and artists in general is that they'll respect good art. And the best number one thing you can do is invite them to it. Have them a part of any mural project, any art project, and have the community involved. And I guarantee you they won't touch it. There's only a couple of things I see with this project that I would like to see is something done with the roof. I can't imagine having these beautiful colors and then having a plain roof that's not going to match what we see on the walls. The other things are the palm trees surrounding, maybe including those palm trees in this mural project. I think that would be something great for the surrounding area. I would say spill it into the sidewalks. Why not use the sidewalks as pieces of canvases? And not only that, maybe have a vision of crosswalks. Those four corners of the crosswalks, I would love to see, you know, some crazy designs as crosswalks, and we use special paint so, you know, the tires or streets don't get messed up. But yeah, welcome to Desert Hot Springs.
Ms. Pye, anything?
Yeah, I'm pontificating for a little bit. We as a council has stopped doing this back and forth, and we decided we're going to pay attention to the people we serve. For this, I like it, I'll tell you that. For this, I asked some good questions about the AYSO. Say it. Thank you. It's all been taken care of. How long is it going to be here? You haven't negotiated, but what you told me, I'm very good with that. How long the owner is going to let it stay, I'm very good with that. I had a conversation with someone with the Palletiers today, and I told them you need to talk to Eric. Well, we haven't, because what we did before, you wanted us to do this, and we don't. You want to get in on something good, you need to call Eric. The other people I gave to Eric are very excited about what Eric is going to do. We have tried to get art here for a long time, but there was drama. There doesn't need to be drama. And what the mayor is trying to do downtown, we need this. This is going to be good for us. And so I'm all there. And I asked, how are you good? And how long have you been here? And is your reputation good? And all of that was good too, because I remember when we did Smashing Pumpkins or something coming here, and it didn't work. So I'm very glad you're here, but I just want to know, how long are you going to be here? You.
Me?
You.
I'm here permanently.
Pardon me?
Permanently.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
With that said, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion then that we adopt the resolution that we approve the funding request for the public art installation at 11940 Palm Drive. And realizing that's going to be the backdrop of our usual Christmas parade and the
Yes.
stage, and it's
Yeah.
just going to be really cool. So I'll make that motion.
There's two authorizations here. I'm assuming you're recommending.
Do we do them in one? Yeah, so the staff recommendations for the expenditures
Thank you.
from the Art and Public Places budget. And execute the agreement.
All right, so I have a motion. Is there a second?
Before I second, I don't want to compare Smashing Pumpkins with Cypress Hill, so second.
All right, please vote. What's your voice vote? Vote?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Congratulations. Get to work. All right, we're going to move to item 8, which is a resolution authorizing the extension of the service fee collected on behalf of the Riverside County Abatement Vehicle Abatement Service Authority until May 31st, 2034. This person hasn't spoken in a while. Ms. Newsom.
Mayor and City Council, before you is a resolution authorizing the extension of the service collected on behalf of the Riverside County Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority until May 31st, 2034. The California Vehicle Code authorizes the establishment of a service authority and imposition of a service fee on all registered motor vehicles located within that county. And in this case, the Riverside County Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority has been the recipient of service fees collected on behalf by the California Department of Motor Vehicles. So those service fees received by the authority are used to reimburse local government agencies for a portion of their costs incurred as a result of abatement, removal, and disposal as public nuisances of any abandoned, wrecked, dismantled, or inoperable vehicle or parts thereof. Abandoned, inoperable, wrecked, and dismantled cars are one of the leading code compliance complaints in the city. These vehicles can be on both public and private property, and they contribute to blight, health and safety issues, and public nuisances. The City of Desert Hot Springs currently has one full-time contract code officer dedicated to AVA abatement. In the 2021-2022 fiscal year, she has opened over 400 cases, conducted over 1,000 inspections, and issued over 700 notices and citations for abandoned, inoperable, wrecked, or dismantled vehicles in the city. Additionally, she submitted quarterly reports for reimbursement to the county for funds of approximately $18,000 in the first quarter, $15,000 in the second quarter, $14,000 in the third quarter, and $22,000 in the fourth quarter. These reimbursements cover 100% of the cost of the officer's contract, her cell phone bill, gas expenses, and uniforms. In April of 2021, the city was able to purchase a new Ford Ranger 4x4 truck paid for entirely with AVA funds. The City of Desert Hot Springs' continued participation in the Riverside County AVA Authority would be a benefit to our community by keeping abandoned and inoperable vehicles out of the public right-of-way and out of sight on private properties. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. We'll go to public comments. Anybody would like to speak on this item? See nobody coming forth. We'll close public comments. Anyone have any questions, comments?
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? As soon as it comes up on the screen, you may vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Item number 9 is the city branded apparel for city commissioners. Mr. Suriano.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. City commissioners perform public-facing duties and occasionally represent the city at various functions and events. Staff has received requests to provide city-branded apparel to city commissioners, and therefore staff seeks council's direction. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I know there was a little bit of a discussion on this recently, so the city manager thought it'd be important to bring it to city council for discussion. I think in the past we've had some issues with well before I was on the city council, but I know there has been issues in the past of individuals abusing their positions and so I think that's part of the concern. We had, before I was on Public Safety Commission, we had public safety commissioners somehow got badges and they would run around and do traffic control. And so I think there's some concern here on buying apparel for meeting shirts that are labeled with that. I know that Mr. Gardner and Ms. Pye have been kind of my appointees to the city policies committees, and they've been putting together recommendations and strengthening those. Maybe there's something in there that you guys can speak to that would help strengthen that. Before I do that, is there anybody in the public that would like to speak to this item? Nobody? Okay. Mr. Gardner, Ms. Pye, anything you'd like to?
Bottom line, we have not talked about this, but we have differing views which we haven't explained. So it's for all of the council unless he has something different.
Well, I'll just, as part of our processes of our or every other year review of council policies, Ms. Pye and I have been working on updating them, and part of that process is putting in some code of conduct for our appointed commissioners, and there isn't anything in there right now specific to apparel and things like that, but there is some standards in there of conduct and things like that. But before we bring those before the council in the next couple of meetings, she and I can certainly address that and perhaps put in some specific language if that's what y'all want, or we can bring it as is and then address that when we discuss the policies as a body if we want to amend them at that time. Either way is fine, and I'm happy to work on that if that's what the direction here is. If we're continuing down that path, I'll just say that I personally don't have an issue with getting city branded apparel for our commissioners to use on a limited basis. I think our commissioners do a bang up job. I think that right now they kind of in a lot of cases operate outside the realm of the city, in the sense that I often think that they don't feel a part of the city, and I think our commissions are an integral part of the way we as a council function. They're supposed to bring us recommendations. We discuss their recommendations and decide to adopt them or amend them or not adopt them. But they are a layer below, a layer of government below elected officials, and they're here to represent members of the community on very specific areas such as planning and public safety. And I think we need to do what we can to make them feel more inclusive, and I think this is one way of doing that. And so I personally don't have a problem with it, and I'm willing to entertain putting some things in the recommendations that Ms. Pye and I bring forward in the next couple of meetings regarding appropriate use of those, if that's what the council wants to do.
And I wanted to clarify a little bit. So there's a conference coming up, and one of the requests was to have the commissioners have embroidered shirts with their names possibly on it, or at least their commission. And the city manager had, since there was no policy and guideline, had brought it to the city council individually in our meetings to talk about it, and she came to me and said that there was a mixed review on how that should be. And so I asked to be brought here that maybe we could develop a guideline or something that could be used and get better direction. So that's kind of where we're at today. So should we or should we not allow, we as city council members and all our staff members are aware of, most of the time, it's something that's embroidered that says, has a city logo, bug, and then our titles on it. So should we extend that to the commissioners, I guess, is the direction that we need today, or develop a policy, or just not?
As I said, we have a difference of opinion. I don't believe they should have the uniforms. I come from that experience of when we had them before. And there were people that had public safety badges and felt that they could direct traffic at no request from the chief of police. And they could almost give a ticket. We had a situation where someone was running for, I think, the DA, and they showed their badge and expected the police, the sheriff, to dismiss what they were doing. And that ended up being in the desert sun. I'm not sure, particularly with public safety, even if we do tell them you can get kicked off of the commission if you do this. No, I don't think that'll happen. And I don't want someone that has a public safety badge on them. They don't know what it is. The people that are approaching them don't know what it is. And now we have a situation with police. With the Planning Commission, I was told, not by you, by another city attorney, I introduced a planning commission to a commissioner to a developer. And the city attorney walked by and said, you can't do that. You can't introduce somebody that's going to come before the planning commission. Is that true?
So what that city attorney, this is obviously guessing, but what they may have been speaking about is something called ex parte communications with the developer. And what that means is a planning commissioner talks with the developer outside of a public hearing. Many cities, I don't believe we have it in this city, but several cities, or I should say some cities, have something written in their municipal code that says planning commissioners shall not speak or have ex parte communications with developers, as those developers will be coming before the body. So that is something that, and what it comes down to is some kind of bias. There's either a bias or a possible conflict of interest. That's why some cities actually prohibit it. It is not state law to do so. It's not state law, so it's up to the city. I don't believe that we have something like that. So it could have been maybe something from their prior city attorney work, or them thinking that we have something like that as well. But that's why it's generally discouraged, but not necessarily illegal.
Okay, and so the bottom line is, I think that they're an advisory to the council. I don't want to tell on somebody. They're an advisory to the council, and if we have not empowered them, a T-shirt is not going to make a difference. I'm done.
Mr. Nunez, any comments?
Yeah, I'm the one that brought this up to staff to see what we can do to get our planning commissioners represented. I mean, they do have a very important role with the city, and a lot of times what's on their agenda doesn't come to us. So they have a very important role. I think getting them recognized when they go out and show some, city pride. For me, it's city pride. When we go to a conference or we go to, outside the street and we're doing our business, having that shirt on, with their title is meaningful to them, and meaningful for me as a city council member when I wear my shirt. What happened many years ago in the city, I mean, I think we've come long and a long way to say that, I think we've learned from that. We're not going to let anything hinder our responsibility to this board and to the planning commission and to the public safety. As far as getting them badges, I don't think we should give them badges. But we're talking about T-shirts and apparel that everybody else has. If there is an issue that comes up, I think us as having appointed these people, we can talk to them, and also staff. If we need to bring them in to have a little conference call, we do that. I think we're all adults here. If we feel that someone's abusing their power or abusing their shirt, then we can deal with it. So.
Schmitz?
I want to figure out who that guy was that started stopping traffic on Palm because he had a...
Not here anymore.
Yeah, I know. It was a long time ago. He created a lot of commotion. I'm curious what the... I don't think I've ever seen other cities where their planning commissioners or their public safety commissioners have walked around, wearing the planning commission, and I'd want to see some distinction on that. But do staff research what any other cities are doing? I don't think I've ever been at a conference or anywhere that I've seen planning commissioners in like what Doria's wearing.
So we have not researched, we're happy to do so, but we have not looked into that. This literally got brought up last week, and we were trying to get this done ahead of the conference, which is why we brought it forward so quickly.
So I would think that a name badge would be fine, and I've always thought they should have business cards. They're out, especially if they're going to be at a conference, have a business card. I'm not sure I'm all on board with having the fully branded uniforms, especially the public safety. I think there'd be more of a concern there than maybe the planning commission. And since there's that problem with the potential for a public safety officer showing up on the scene and telling the chief or somebody there, "Hi, I'm reporting for duty," I think we better just avoid the uniforms, but go with I think a name badge, so when they're at the conference they have something that makes them stand out, and then business cards I'd be in favor of.
So why don't we do this, why don't we send it back to the policy committee to come up with something to bring back? You've heard enough today to put together a policy. It doesn't sound like you have enough support for apparel, but name badges, those types of things, if those are allowed.
Let me make a quick maybe modification of that. What if we were to get them, and I recognize your point about badges and things like that, but I think what we're talking about are the normal polo shirts that all of us have with the city logo, like on the screen up there, and their name on it. And if we can certainly put that in the policies that we're bringing forward, but that those shirts are to be worn for commission meetings, for attending conferences on behalf of the city, and for if we have like a town hall meeting with us, and so that kind of thing, but not to be worn in public.
That's what they're saying they don't want. There's two that say no, one says yes. It'd be up to you.
So,
I just don't think there's enough support here today to, unless someone wants to make a motion.
Well, when the committee goes back, I agree with you, bring something back, just give it some thought, but when the committee comes back, my suggestion is name badges and business cards, not apparel.
When I was on the planning commission, we did have a name badge, the little magnetic ones like we all have. We didn't have business cards, and I know we gave business cards to them a couple of years ago, didn't we?
We did, but to be completely candid, that practice was stopped because we did run into some issues with that.
Yeah, there's a lot here, guys. I don't know where else to go with this. We're pretty split on this.
Motion to continue, Mr. Mayor?
I would continue with maybe the committee sitting down, the two committee members sitting down and maybe drafting something to either support or not support to bring forth to look at. I don't think we're going to get, we're all kind of all over the place here today. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to make a decision to move forward for the current conference unless somebody wants to overrule me with a motion. There is a motion to continue.
You want a motion to continue?
Hold on 1 minute. Let's get a second, and then we can go to more discussion. Is there a second on continuing it? I'll second it to be continued for another meeting when the policy committee brings something back. So we're open for discussion. Go ahead, sir.
So my thing is, when I was on the planning commission, I did have a T-shirt and I also have business cards. And when I went to the conferences up in Monterey, and in San Diego. I mean, I see a lot of the cities that did have
When
t-shirts.
you were with the city?
When I
did
was
you-
with the city of
I was
Coachella.
going to say Indio, sorry.
Yeah,
Coachella.
and it does show city pride. And
Absolutely.
we're pride in our city. We want them to feel that pride as well. So
And I mean, planning commission does have an important role. I mean,
that's
regardless how
just
we.
public
we feel
safety,
that.
so.
Why don't we take what the mayor has given to us and we'll figure it out?
One more quick comment. They're going to a conference now.
Yeah.
Can they get name tags in time for that? At least go
I
with
don't
that.
think there's enough consensus here, to
Okay,
be honest
all
with you. I think we're just, unfortunately, they'll have to wear a stick on, I guess, unfortunately. But, yeah, I'm probably going to agree with Jan at this point until a policy is developed. People have abused this too many times in our community, unfortunately, and I don't think the current commissions would. But until we have a policy, it's similar to Little League and the code of conduct. If you don't get the parents and the volunteers to sign a code of conduct, you can't enforce it. So if we don't have something to enforce, how can you enforce it if they abuse it? So better safe than sorry. There is a motion to continue till we can get something back from the committee, and I second it. Is there any more discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes with Mayor Pro Tem Nunez opposed.
Thank you very much. We have nothing pulled from the consent calendar. We're going to move to public comments. Is there anyone that didn't speak at the beginning that would like to speak now? I see nobody coming forth. The next upcoming meeting dates is the Public Safety Commission will meet on the 9th at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Planning Commission will meet on the 14th in the council chambers, and our next city council meeting will be on the 21st. No further business from the city. We are adjourned.